You know, when you arrive into Bali at the airport and you zoom off in a taxi to your destination, it might be Kuta, it might be Legian, it might be Sanur, or it might be further afield than that. And you skip a whole section between the airport and where you're going, even if you're going to Kuta. There's a big section in there that you skip, and today I wanted to find out what's actually there. So I'm down in that area of Tuban, which is what the area is called, having a look at what's here. See if there's anything interesting. I'm sure there is. There's always something interesting in Indonesia if you get off the main strip. And this is where I am, so let's check it out. So we're slowing things down a little bit today, and what I'm feeling straight off is this is a very local area, even though we are very close to the tourist area. Look at this. You've got these nice fruit shops like that. Absolutely beautiful. G'day. And they're very local style. You've got gorengan happening there, the little gerobak or kaki lima. A lot of little food eateries actually around here. Warung Madura. Madura is an island off the coast of Java. And there's a lot of the people from Madura that do merantau, especially to a place like Bali, and they'll set up little warungs quite often or do other types of work. So the road I've turned down is called Jalan Raya Tuban. And it's the road, you'll probably remember it if you've been coming to Bali for a long time. It's the old road to the airport. So before there was that Sunset Road and that bypass road that went all the way to the airport, there was a road called Jalan Raya Tuban, which led basically from the airport into Kuta. That was the road that everyone probably remembers, but you don't often take these days unless you're staying in sort of the southern area of Kuta and you nick straight down to the airport from there. The bus still takes this route, so if you're on the bus to the airport, it'll still come down there. And that's another good reminder actually that the bus service to the airport's a pretty good service. If you've got a lot of time on your hands and you're pretty flexible about, you know, how you get on, how you get around, and you don't have a heap of luggage, because current lugging luggage on and off buses is a bit sort of annoying, you can catch the bus all the way to the airport. You can go to Nusa Dua from somewhere like Sanur, for example. There's lots of different places you can go on that public bus. This is one of the routes that it comes down on its way to the airport and then off to Nusa Dua. And there's a university that goes up to near the Bukit there that goes as well. It seems that along this road there are a lot of those government offices, like that one there's BMKG for this area. They're the people who do a lot of the weather forecasts as well. I think they do earthquake stuff as well. From memory, they do earthquake stuff, because I think when I see an alert for an earthquake, it comes from that mob as well. That's basically the government's weather service and geological service all wrapped into one, and that's just a local office. It's interesting coming down here because I'm just going past a big military base, which I won't film because I'll have someone charging up with a weapon or something probably. It's just strange that you have a big military base in this area. I'm guessing it's something to do with the proximity to the airport. That's probably what it is. For domestic tourists, this is one of the most important places to go. It's called Krishna Ole Ole. I know that some foreigners know about it as well. You know, all those arts and crafts and handicrafts and little gifts that you might take home, souvenirs and so forth for friends and family, local coffee or some sort of local snack. That's all available here at this Krishna Ole Ole. Now, Ole Ole is an interesting concept in Indonesia. It vaguely means souvenir, but it's not really. I mean, that's the way we actually translate it to English, but it doesn't really capture the meaning of what Ole Ole is. So Ole Ole is an interesting thing. There's a bit of a culture in Indonesia. If you go on holiday or if you go somewhere away from your hometown for a little while, when you come back home, your friends and family are going to expect that you've brought back something for them. And it doesn't need to be something big, but maybe like a packet of chips, which is a speciality of the area. For example, if you live in Jakarta and you went to Bali and everyone knows you're going to Bali, then back in the office, when you get back to the office, there's some sort of expectation that you're going to buy everyone something, you know, maybe some chips or some nuts or something that's special from Bali. And what's really interesting about it is that a lot of people don't like to bring Ole Ole for their friends and family because it's a bit of a pain, and then you've got a queue of people who are wanting stuff. So sometimes what people will do, they'll actually go on holiday secretly and not tell people where they're going, just so they don't have to bring Ole Ole back for all their friends and family. It's it's really cool. So that Krishna Ole Ole really serves that market where people are on their way back to the airport, because this is close to the airport now. People are on their way back to the airport to go back home to their hometown after holidaying in Bali, and they'll nick in there and stock up on a bag full of stuff that they know they can then distribute to their friends and family, so that it's not some sort of discomfort or awkward situation when they get back home. Ole is really important, a little gift for people when you're coming back home after going on holiday. You might have seen this monument on your way to or from the airport, and it looks a bit like a victory statue. A lot of people do think it's a victory statue, but it's not really. It's more of a funeral statue. It's a statue from the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. And it's a really interesting story about Indonesian history, not just Balinese history. And most Indonesians are going to know something about this epic tale that involves a figure called Gatotkaca. You might have even heard of Gatotkaca if you've seen any of the wayang kulit performances in Bali over the years. And they'll often have that character as a hero in a lot of the plays that you see. But this particular one is very interesting. And the reason it's not a victory statue as it might seem at first, and a funeral or a death statue, is because it depicts a very specific time in the Mahabharata where that person there, that's Gatotkaca. That's a flying giant who at night becomes really powerful, and in a battle with Karna, the other person over here, Gatotkaca was sent to try and attack the forces of Karna. And why was he doing that? Well, Karna is equipped with a special weapon, which is a one-time use only weapon. And the forces of good knew that Karna was saving that weapon for Arjuna and was going to kill Arjuna with that special weapon. So what they did, they sent in Gatotkaca to try and battle this guy, knowing that at some point that special weapon was going to be used on Gatotkaca, and then Gatotkaca was going to die, therefore getting rid of that weapon so that Arjuna could later battle Karna. And that's exactly what happened. This is depicting what happened at that point where Gatotkaca was actually winning against Karna, and then Karna had no choice but to use that special weapon and actually killed Gatotkaca. And that's what you're seeing there, Gatotkaca in the air battling Karna. It's really interesting because I've seen this thing so many times when we're coming through the airport, and I actually was reminded of it when I came back through a few days ago. A lot of local people will just call it Patung Kuda or something like that, but it's not. It's a lot more significant than that. Look at it, isn't it just magnificent? The official name, here it is, Patung Satria Gatotkaca. Patung means statue, Satria is like knight, Gatotkaca is the name of the character up there. Opened in 1993, and it really serves as sort of a protection to the air traffic that's around here as well. The artist that made this particular one actually has made a lot of different statues around the place. There's a place called Simpang Siur, which is, I mean, in Indonesian language, Simpang Siur means a confusing situation, but in this case, Simpang Siur is an intersection up there where there's an underpass. It was one of the first underpasses in Bali. Over there's a beautiful, beautiful statue that is created by the same artist, and at some point you have to see that. I actually think coming and seeing these statues as part of like a tourism activity, I think it's really interesting. I mean, the statue is absolutely gorgeous, and there's no one here. It doesn't really get the attention it deserves, really, but it is magnificent. Love it. There you go. Now you know about Gatotkaca. One last point about this Gatotkaca statue is that there is a character there driving the chariot. And there's a big history around that particular character. I won't go into all the details, but basically he's supposed to be on the side of the good and has been tricked to be on the side of the bad, and he's leading the bad guys into the forces of his own side. Really interesting. If you ever have a chance to read some of that Hindu history, really interesting stories. Just near the airport as well, there's an area that's specifically set up for 3 religions. It's really interesting. There's an ecclesiastic church there. I don't know what that means because I'm not a very religious person, but there's a ecclesia. There's a mosque, Masjid Nurul Huda, and then there's a Hindu temple there as well and meeting place. So that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Really, really interesting. I'll show you this place over here, this church. Look at that one. This is basically the airport sort of religious facilities. That's what they're calling it. I'm guessing it's because there are so many people working down here that you need these religious facilities for all the people who work here. That's pretty cool, eh? Mosque isn't bad either. I think when you take things a little bit slower, this is on the side of that church, you do see a lot of things that you'd normally fly past. Like this is the airport road, yeah? You'll know that the airport's on the other side of that fence. You would have flown down here a million times in your taxi on the way to wherever you're going. But it's just really interesting when you slow down a little bit to see what is actually there. I'm not sure anyone walks along here, although I haven't seen anyone walking along here yet. But I think it's pretty interesting. Here comes the bus. There's that bus there. That's the one that's just come from the airport. You'll probably remember as you go into the airport along that road, there's a bunch of buildings like that one there, about a kilometre before the actual airport terminal, or where the airport terminal is located these days. But my suspicion is some of these older buildings may be one of the old terminals from maybe, I don't know, 70s or 80s. That's what my suspicion would be. And I know some of you who are watching along probably know the answer to that. So if you know where the old terminal used to be located and whether it was in some of these older buildings here, drop a comment. Kalian asli dari mana?
Aku Jawa Barat, saya Sumatera.
Jawa Barat mana?
Bandung.
Kumaha Damang.
Alhamdulillah.
Iya. Dulu aku tinggal di dekat Caringin.
Caringin.
Ya.
Di mana?
Australia. Ya, jadi 12 tahun di Bandung.
Mau 12 tahun di Bandung.
Nah. Kenapa merantau ke sini?
Apa ya? Cari pengalaman baru sih, suasana baru.
Rindu?
Rindu
Sedikit.
sedikit.
So the coffee looks mad, doesn't it? Like a really good shiny, layer of milk on that, on foam. Looks good. And it's just great. It's just a great coffee. Mantul, bro. Mantul's an interesting word. It is an abbreviation of mantap betul. Mantap means great, and betul means correct or whatever. But you put them together and you call mantap betul, mantul. You'll get a lot of laughs if you use the word mantul in Indonesia. People love it. People love the word mantul. It has a bit of a feel to it. It's really cool. Nuhun. Yeah, sami-sami. Yeah, makasih. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Bye.
Okay, we're on our way again. We've had a nice coffee. That only cost 33,000. That's normal price for Bali. That's not a sort of a local price or a tourist price. Just normal price. No tax as well. Probably a slightly cheaper coffee than you might get elsewhere. Good coffee though. Good coffee. Not that I sort of expect anyone to come here because it's sort of, I don't know, not really a place that you're willing to stop. But if you were coming past on your way from the airport, definitely a place to go. It's called Kedas. Kedas coffee. Only been open 3 months apparently. Decent place for a coffee. As we get closer to the airport, so the airport's on that side, I want to get in that way. So I'm going to take the next right into there and see what the local situation is in there. I notice whenever I get a grab car from the airport, it always comes from in there. I think people might live in there, park their car, have a bit of a sleep, and when they get an order, they jump in their car and come to the airport. I think, from what I gather, a lot of people who are relying on the airport for their income do live here. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? You live close to the airport, the place that you work. But what that means, oh, this is cool. Look at those statues. Dogs guarding. Yeah, that's a beautiful, beautiful little gate to get into that person's house. But what that means also is that there's probably going to be some pretty interesting stuff in there, the local style. Well, this is the first right-hand turn that I found, so let's go up here. Dilarang keras. Jangan membuang sampah di sini. So we're in the gangs now. Nice. I think this is cool. That's a beautiful, look at that. Nice plant there. Nice little house that someone's got there, down in the gangs. Here we go. Hello. Yeah. So a lot of these places look like they might be places where you can ngekos, yeah? Ngekos is, hello. Ngakos is sort of the verb for the word kos or cost. And that word is actually like a boarding house. So you can ngakos di sini, which means that you can stay in a boarding house here. And it looks like some of these places are little places that people might be staying if they're working nearby. So speaking to those baristas back there, they live local and they spend 600,000 a month for their costs, and they share with one other person. So 2 single beds, air conditioning, and a private bathroom and toilet, and 600,000 a month is not too bad, especially when the minimum wage in Badung Regency, which is what we're in at the moment, is about 3.5 million. So not too bad. They'll be able to save quite a bit of money. Some nice little warungs around the place. Look at those. Very cheap places. Building a new building there. There's a mosque down that way. Wow, it's awesome around here. This is the real Indonesia, actually. Look at that. See that there? Pos Kamling. Kamling actually literally means keamanan lingkungan. It means the security of the environment or local area. Lingkungan has sort of 2 meanings. It means environment, like natural environment, but it can also mean the little community area. So when you've got a pos kamling, it's basically a security post for the local neighbourhood. And I'm not sure if it goes on as much as it used to. Oh, Catholic school, interesting. Not sure if it goes on as much as it used to, but there used to be a system called sis kamling. And what you'd have to do, if you're living in a neighbourhood, they'd have a rotational system where, you know, once a week or once a fortnight, you'd be one of the security guards. And it's part of their responsibility as a citizen of the local neighbourhood to actually be part of that system, a rotational system. Well, I'm going to find it hard to get through this here. That's going to be interesting. We'll have to nick up this way a bit, I think. Here we go, I've got a way around it. Easy. That one there, DPR anjing. So anjing is the word for dog. And if you say the word anjing in a quite a forceful way, in Indonesian, it's a swear word. Like, it's a bad swear word. It's a really bad swear word. If you call someone that, it's really, really derogatory. You shouldn't do it because it's a bad swear word. And there's other words that are a lot softer but mean a similar thing. You can say the word anjir, yeah? And that's it's a bit of a swear word as well. It's not a good word, but it's nowhere near as hard on the ear as the other word. I won't even say it because for me it feels a bit wrong to say it. But what that person back there was saying, DPR is the parliament, yeah? Someone obviously, it's like a political protest. Someone doesn't like the parliament, so they're just calling them dogs. You see the same sort of thing all around the world, don't you? People hate the politics and they'll get a bit of political graffiti going. I'm actually loving this back street. It's really interesting down here. It's pretty suburban, but because it's so compact and tight, there's just every step you go, there's something new to look at, and I find it very interesting. You know, sometimes when you've been in Bali a long time, nothing is new anymore, nothing's really interesting. This is totally interesting. There's just... Morning, how are you? Punya warung ini ya? No. Oh, di belakang ya. Mau beli galon. Di sini isi ulang atau gimana?
Aqua.
Aqua. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I like also that sometimes when we love the older style things in Bali, because that's what we're familiar with, because a lot of us came many years ago for the very first time, that here you still have that feeling of the old school thing, because that's the way the local people live. They don't live in modern sort of places like, you know, like the modern hotels and stuff are these days. It's just a very, very nice thing to feel when you come to a place like this. Oh, lots of coconuts on that tree over there. Yeah, beautiful. This is the sort of place that if you were poor, yeah, if you were a broke foreigner, but you didn't want to live in your home country anymore, that's pretty close. This is the sort of place that you might be able to come and live really cheaply. Like, you can definitely live here for 600,000 a month. You know, if you wanted to have a whole room to yourself, you could live here for 1.2 million a month. You have, I think, oh God, it's one of those things. Just get a big waft of chili fumes into my lungs. Yeah, 1.2 million a month. You have to buy your own. That guy, the previous cafe, said he had to buy his own bed. But 1.2 million a month for your accommodation, and then, you know, the rest of the money that you got, you just spend on food or whatever. You can live here really cheaply. But to be honest, it's not really the right thing to do to be taking up all of that sort of boarding house accommodation. It's usually best to leave that to the local workers, you know. That's the general theory about it. If you can spend a little bit more, it's probably better. Just stumbled upon a market. I'm a bit sort of late for that. I'm still morning, but not morning enough. Might just have a quick walk through this market to see if I can see anything of interest. Oh, that's interesting. It's a local market. It's called Nyang Sari. Opened in 2024. It's sort of like that. You've got people like, that's a greengrocer there. That's just a banana shop. Oh, that's interesting. Just a total 100% banana shop. That's a really interesting one with all the different types of bananas. I don't mind having a look at the bananas. Look at those ones. They're a funky old banana, aren't they? That's a weird one. They look like a lady finger. They'd be like $10 a kilo in Australia. And then all the different types. These are not the luxury bananas that you'll see in the supermarkets in somewhere like Sanua. These are local style bananas. They cost you about half as much as well. I'll have a look through the market over here. Here we go. Permisi. There we go. Most of us closed at the moment, unfortunately, but there's still a few stalls open. Look at this, nice little market. Didn't know this market existed actually. Knickknacks, canang sari, oil, rice, all those rhizomes as well. You've got crackers, oh, a cracker shop. Hello. Hello. Yeah, interesting. That looks like the meat section over here. That's probably the chicken section, I reckon. They've all cleaned up for the day. Oh, look at that. What was that? That's a big root vegetable there. I don't know what that particular one is. That's interesting. Hello. Good, how are you? You can even get little packets of fruits. They're all pre-packaged bits of fruit there if you only want a little bit, yeah? That's pretty cool. Hello. They look pretty friendly down here too. Always getting a bit of a smile on the way from people. Well, that's an interesting little market. I think that's sort of what I like about walking around like this. Like, I'm not sort of getting on the map and going, I'm going to go here today. I'm just sort of like wandering around, and I always really enjoy just wandering onto little things like this, which are, like, you wouldn't come here if you weren't just walking past. But now that you're here, it's actually really, really cool, you know? That's one of the things about wandering around like this, the jalan, is that you always come across something pretty interesting. Okay, PT Sumiati Expor. So that's like a little exporter's building. Looks like it's half busted up though. Love it. So this is the area between the airport and the hotels in Kuta, basically. Maybe if you've walked to the airport before, you might have walked through some of these areas. Maybe not either. Don't think too many people do that. You can, but the easiest way to walk to the airport from somewhere like Kuta is, well, there's one main road past the Discovery Plaza. It's called Jalan Kartika Plaza. That one goes all the way to the airport. That's the easiest way. You wouldn't come through here. Just on the word Kuta, the locals will say Kuta or Kuta, yeah? So there's a bit of an accent thing there. So like a person from Jakarta, like the neutral Indonesian accent for Kuta is Kuta, yeah? And then if you're Balinese, you often hear the word Kuta. That A is a little bit different. And then if you're Aussie, you say Kuta, yeah? But it's actually Kuta. It's like Ubud, like it's really supposed to be Ubud, yeah? And even that D sound is not supposed to be Ubud. It's like a sort of, you put a stop on the end of that D. Like it's not Ubud, it's not Ubud. Although I do like to say Ubud when I'm having a bit of a joke around. Let's go to Ubud. That's a cool little barber shop. Look at that. Hello. Biasanya untuk potong rambut berapa?
35.
Okay, makasih. It's a cheap one, isn't it? They're doing little haircuts. The first time I moved to Bandung, I've got to be careful here, don't get run over by this truck. First time I moved to Bandung, I used to go to a place that charged 7,000 for a haircut. The dude had been doing it for ages, a really experienced operator, but without fail, when I went there, one side would always be longer than the other. Like I don't know whether it's just my head is lopsided or whether he couldn't really measure it up, but it was always like a little bit lopsided, so I'd have to go home and shave a bit off. 7,000, I didn't complain. Hello. Lagi apa? Lagi apa?
Kopi.
Nongkrong.
Kopi.
Nongkrong.
Iya, minum kopi.
Yeah, okay, minum kopi ya. It's pretty cool guys.
Yes.
Thank you ya. Jalan-jalan, bikin konten ya.
Internet, konten apa?
Hah?
Konten apa?
Untuk YouTube. Ya. Kalian dari mana
Nama
aslinya?
YouTube-nya apa?
Sanur Diaries. Sanur Diaries.
Yes.
Ya, Diaries. Kalian asli dari mana?
Dari Jawa. Dari Jawa.
Jawa mana?
Banyuwangi.
Banyuwangi?
Banyuwangi semua.
Semua dari Banyuwangi. Oh, udah lama di sini.
17 tahun.
Ah ya. Rindu atau gimana? Kalau rindu Banyuwangi enggak? Atau rindu?
Yeah.
Sering pulang?
Sering. Ini mau pulang.
Mau pulang sekarang.
Good.
Biasanya berapa jam dari sini sampai Banyuwangi, termasuk ferinya?
8 jam.
8 jam.
Ya, 8 jam.
Door to door. 8 jam. Lama ya?
Lama.
Jadi dari sini ke Gilimanuk mungkin 4 jam ya?
4 jam. Yeah.
Terus nunggu ferry, naik ferry mungkin beberapa jam lagi.
Subscribe.
Oh, you're good guys. Thank you, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, yeah. I love having a joke around with the locals because they're so good fun and they like to play up to the camera and when they can communicate with you, they like, I don't know, just like to have a bit of fun. The guys on their own have a bit of fun anyway, joking around with one another. But with foreigners, it's sometimes difficult because of the language barrier, of course. But if you can just get through that a little bit, even if you speak a few words, geez, you really make a connection instantly. And of course, we already know that the Indonesian people are some of the nicest and most pleasant people in the world. And if only there was more connection when it comes to language. Of course, most Indonesians don't speak English at all. Even if they're taught at school, they won't speak it. And if you can learn a few words of their language, just to bridge that gap, geez, it just makes a difference. One of the things to break the ice that I normally do is to ask them what people are doing. Because people are often just sitting around, and just to break the ice, even if you know what they're doing, just ask, what are you doing? Yeah? So you can say, lagi apa? So lagi, in that context, means at the moment, yeah? It means, lagi means at the moment, and then apa means what. So at the moment, what? Lagi apa? Yeah, what are you doing right now? You can always say the word ngapain, ng at the start of that word. It's hard to say. That's basically what are you doing. But lagi apa? A good icebreaker for me. What are you doing? And they'll say, like those guys just said, I'm having a coffee. I knew they were having a coffee because I could see it. But they're just saying that in response because we're having what is called basa basi. Basa basi is small talk. A lot of people hate small talk, especially if you don't want to talk to someone and you've got to go through small talk. It's pretty annoying, and we have that same issue in the West. But if you want to engage someone, just engage in a bit of small talk. You ask what they're doing, you already know. They're going to tell you what they're doing, and you already know that. They already know that you know, but you just do it anyway. And you engage in that little bit of small talk, and then you break the ice and you can have a talk about something else. Now, if you don't have a lot of language, just ask people, lagi apa? And then you'll start the process. The other thing about the word lagi, a lot of you will already know that word, which means again. So if you want one more beer, you can say satu, which means one, and then lagi, satu lagi, and it's one more. But it also means currently. It's an informal way of saying currently. Yeah, so lagi apa? Currently what? There is a more formal way of saying currently, but it's very rarely spoken in normal conversation. You almost never hear it. It's the word sedang. Yeah, sedang means currently. And the reason that's important is because in Indonesian, because your verbs don't have the tenses in them, like for example, the word fish, to fish, fished, he did fish, and then fishing, currently fishing, you don't have those verbs. So how do we get around that in Indonesian? Well, there are a number of different words. You can say he has not yet done something, he has already done something, he is currently doing something, he will do something. And I'll explain it. So, dia belum memancing, he has not yet fished. Dia sedang, dia lagi memancing, he's currently fishing. Dia sudah memancing, already has been fishing. Dia akan memancing, he will fish. So there's a lot of different words you can use that gives you a bit of a time frame. If you learn some of those main ones, especially have you already eaten, sudah makan? And the response is not no I haven't, it's belum, I have not yet. It's a bit of a more of an optimistic take, like I will eat, but I just haven't yet. So, sudah makan? Belum. Sudah mandi? Belum. Sudah mandi? Sudah. So people will always ask, as sort of an icebreaker, have you already eaten? Or if you already had a shower, oh, udah makan? Udah. Udah makan? Oh, belum. Yeah, and it's basically a way of saying, hey, do you want some food? Or if they've got food in front of it, or it might be just to make sure that you've got a full belly, that sort of stuff. So it's really important, that time frame thing. So just try and remember those words. Belum, lagi, sudah, akan. Really important words. If you remember those, you've got a long way to learning Indonesian. I digress. Bit of an impromptu Indonesian lesson as I walk the back streets of Tuban. I've actually really enjoyed going along these back streets today, and I've really enjoyed taking you along for the ride. I'd like to thank all the members that have recently signed up. It really helps make these videos, gets me out there making these videos and showing you what Bali and the rest of Indonesia has to offer. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sonora and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.